Welcome to Fish Fingers and Custard, the Explosion Network Doctor Who After Show. I am Dylan Blight, and joining me, Ashley Hobley.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here to talk about time.
Time, yeah, very good. This week's episode of Doctor Who Flux, Chapter 3, Once Upon a Time. Upon Time, sorry. I auto-corrected myself. It's Once Upon Time. Synopsis 4. Time is beginning to run wild on a planet that shouldn't exist. In the aftermath of the apocalypse, the Doctor, Dan, Yaz, and Vinder face a battle to survive. It was directed by Azhur, Saleem, and it was written by Chibnall. So, this is his first. So, other than this, by the way, Azhur has only done shorts, and he is directing 3 episodes of this season, and then he's also doing the Anazi miniseries for Prime Video, Anazi Boys. So, a bit of interesting tidbit for you. What did you think of this week's episode of Doctor Who?
Yeah, I liked it. It's like kind of like weird and wacky and like non-linear storytelling. Got kind of a glimpse at a lot of the different characters' backstories. We obviously get like a better look at Vinder, and then we also get kind of a hint at more, of the Doctor, of her unknown backstory. Also, you got Joe Martin coming back as the other Doctor that we met last season. That now I guess we can confirm is before any of the Doctors.
Yeah, that's an interesting tidbit.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty interesting ideas, and like kind of maybe the most cerebral episode we've had so far in the Chibnall run. Like kind of weird and out there, big ideas. All this time distortion and time storms and people showing up in different timelines, and and then hiding the weeping angels inside as well. So setting up next week. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Kind of gave us also a little bit of backstory on the Swarm as well. So yeah, lots of information here.
It was a mess of an episode, and I feel like for the first half, I had no idea what was going on. And I know that's sort of the point.
I think that's the point.
It is totally the point, but oh my God, this episode is not like walking past someone's watching Doctor Who. I might sit down and watch this. This is I don't know, it's kind of like a very long, and we only had 1 episode in between, so it's like you have the season opener where it's like wow, that's a lot, and then we have last week where it's like, okay, chill story, sometimes no problem, and this week they're like, hey, want another massive episode that's just a lot of like set up for the rest of the season sort of thing, which I feel like maybe feels like it would usually be in the middle of the season or something, but no, we're at episode 3 and here we are. But there are some, as you said, there are some interesting little things that do happen amongst all of the stuff that seems like set up, but we do move the plot overall thing forward slightly, and we get introduced to what's the actor's name? Thaddeus Graham's Bell. Yep. Which was, I think, the standout. The girl that was introduced, who's revealed at the end to be the partner of Vander's lover. Yeah. So, I thought she was the best sort of part of this. Did you like her?
Yeah, she was really good. Like, it's kind of like so odd the way she's introduced, like kind of unrelated to anything else, and like in an episode where everything is kind of unrelated from everything else. So yeah, she's really good. So I saw this theory online, tweeted by DoomDread_Davis on Twitter. Bell smacks the ship's controls like the TARDIS and is thrown back laughing. She's absolutely the Doctor's mother. A love of travelling from her pilot mother and a sense of justice from Vinder, in awe of the balls on Chibnall. I bet £30 on this with Joe Bennett. Hold us to it.
Try and break that down to make sense. Try and boil that one out. That's the Doctor's mother. So
yep.
Vinder is the Doctor's father, and they're doing a new version of the plot they did with Amy and Rory and Riversong. Like,
maybe.
I mean, it'd be a very similar weird twist, but obviously have way larger, different implications. I don't know, why would those two people be the?
I'm not sure why. It's just.
Yeah, I'm gonna vote no against this theory. To be honest, I just feel like that is
I just thought it was interesting. Like, it's like, why? Is there more to these random characters? There usually is, that we get along the way. Obviously, Vinder leaves at the end of the episode, so you assume we're going to see him again.
Yeah, well, he gets giving a bloody walkie-talkie, so we're coming back to him.
Yeah.
Give him an episode or two. Give him the Weeping Angels episode off, and we'll be back. We'll be back in no time. Just you watch. Yeah, I was trying to, because it's like wrapping around what else. I'm trying to remember what even the fuck happens this episode. So everyone else is going through that. So there are some like character backstory bits we do get, because everyone is going through the timeline. So when you see these scenes with Dan, we do get to learn more about his past and how he was married and she left him basically on the altar. Also, his...
So that would mean he was not married.
So, yeah, also, he was nearly married. Then the other interesting bit in all that dialogue is that, I can't remember the girl, her name, but because obviously they were going on a date when we first met them, or what sounded like a date, right? But in that scene, in this flashback sort of time scene, he is like, oh, how'd it go? How'd your date go? And all this sort of stuff. So it seems like they've started like this was obviously years prior. Maybe friendship blossoms into something else. I don't know. Like, but yeah, so it was a little interesting.
Impressive to fall asleep into your pizza.
Yeah, into your pizza. Yeah. Must have been so boring. So, yeah. So something about the company she was keeping, I guess. The Yaz stuff, not so much there. Like, it's a flashback to her sitting in a police station. Although I loved hearing the doctor do and I said that, and she was like, "Oh, down the road I can get him, and the 30 cents more." I was like, "Why do you go down there?" Like all that bit. It was just such mundane,
most mundane.
Yeah.
Hearing Jodie say it.
Yeah, hearing Jodie deliver that line, I thought was quite fun. So that was good. And then obviously the Doctor's flashbacks were quite interesting because we are seeing the whatever Doctor we're calling. Do we have a name for that Doctor? Like
I don't know.
The Doctor? What's the actress's name? I can't even fucking remember her name, to be honest.
Jo Martin.
Jo Martin, that's it. Yeah, so whatever her Doctor is showing up. So that's interesting in the flashback, and because I guess in the realm of Doctor Who timeline now, there can be however many Doctors prior to
Infinite.
The first one that we just don't know about. So that's where they're now seemingly chucking her. So that would mean that Jodie Foster's Doctor isn't actually the first time the Doctor's
Jodie Whittaker.
What did I say? Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster.
Imagine.
Should be a solid Doctor.
Imagine. Jodie Whittaker is not the first first version of the Doctor to have been female, I guess. Like, oh, been there before. Just got to find out if there was a redhead previously or not. That's like sort of the important question. And then I think the other interesting thing with this episode is just how shitty the Doctor gets with everyone.
The Jo Martin Doctor is apparently called the Fugitive Doctor.
The Fugitive Doctor. Oh, because she's in hiding.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is she in hiding? Find out soon. It's interesting if she comes back. I don't know if they're gonna. I wonder if Chris Chibnall's going to wrap up that, or that's still a character that's just going to carry over.
I would assume so.
Like, is he going to be like, I'm going to wrap up this storyline, or see it through? Yeah, and then the other thing I thought was interesting about this episode was just how shitty the Doctor gets with everyone. She snaps at Dan. She snaps at Yaz like twice, I think. I think Vinder gets left alone, but otherwise she kind of going off. She yells at the whatever people to.
Well, she wants to know the truth and she can't get it. So
yeah, but it's also like
understandable.
You're seeing, we're now at a stage where we're seeing her really grasping and wanting to find out the truth about her past and everything, but also because she refuses to share this what what she knows of anyone, which is a weird sort of trait for the Doctor for the most part, because usually the Doctor is quite happy to share what's actually going on, whereas this Doctor is keeping the cards very, very close to the chest and not telling her companions, any of them, not even Yaz, the one who's been around longest, what the hell is actually going on. So that's certainly an interesting thing that I think is probably going to lead to something here. We're going to see a conflict. Conflict on board the TARDIS here eventually, I think, because, I mean, you just don't write in so many lines of the Doctor snapping back at someone without it.
Yeah, it's the first time we've really seen her angry.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen her angry at
For the most part, she's like super happy-go-lucky or disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, you see her yell at like bad guys and do the typical Doctor, like, you don't know me, I'm the Doctor, like, like blah, 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 blah. But nothing on this level, I would say. No. Cybermen in this episode as well as Daleks. That was just chuck them all out there. But the main sort of villain thing that's thrown in here that connects to next week is, of course, Weeping Angels, which I couldn't help but laugh in that video game sequence. That was
the solution is destroy the console.
Yeah, just throw the console.
Thanks God it was an Xbox.
Well, that line also, fucking that when her sister says something about like, I just want to be a girl who's what the fuck was the line? I retweeted someone. I didn't say someone like I retweeted someone said something. Oh yeah, her sister's like, I just want to be known as a sexy girl with the nimble fingers. I was like, okay.
There's a lot of ways you can prove that.
Yeah,
not just playing video games.
I was like, I want to be known as a sexy guy with the nimble fingers. You know what I'm saying? And then what the fuck else was I going to mention? Oh yeah, the last line of the episode was just quite funny, where I found someone, where was I? Sorry, on Twitter, someone quoted. Yeah, just the angel has a TARDIS, being the final sort of thing, and so that was sort of scary. So definitely looking forward to next week's episode and seeing the Weeping Angels. Also, shout out to old mate showing up again in this episode for like 2 seconds. Steve Oram or whatever as Joseph Williamson.
The old guy.
Yeah, the old guy. Yeah. Like literally shows up for
again.
Completely forgot that he was brought in at the end of last week's episode where he was in that place.
In the first episode.
Yeah, he was in the first, but then he showed up again last week and I forgot because he was in that planet building wherever the hell we are. And I completely forgot coming to this week's episode and he pops up for 2 seconds and is like, I've got a laser gun, and then disappears or something. I don't really know what was going on. So...
And apparently the Doctors helped Swarm with whatever plan he's got. Don't know.
Apparently. I don't know. Yeah.
And they snapped themselves away out of existence and then back into existence somewhere, I guess.
Could be a thing, yeah.
So like they dusted away, like
Marvel.
Yep.
Snapped away. Any other final thoughts of this week's episode?
No, I think obviously they built up Vinder's backstory. Like, obviously some sort of war hero asked for a job helping the Grand Servant. Who is that going to be an important character? Is he
I forgot
the head
about
of whoever? Is he the head of whatever race?
I don't know.
Is he super important or something? Or obviously he's corrupt and he calls him out, whistle blows, and he gets sent off to the middle of nowhere as punishment. Yeah. Just like real life.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it works, isn't it?
Yep. Whistle blowed, you get turned into a janitor. Doesn't matter how big a profile.
It's fair enough.
I mean, normally you just get fired, but...
Not in this universe.
Not in this universe.
All right. That'll do it. This week's episode of Fish Fingers and Custard. Don't forget you can find everything else all over podcast, exposurnetwork.com. Check out What Do You Want to Watch, where we talk about all things, movies and TV and whatever else. Find us on Twitter, exposurnetwork.com/Twitter. It'll take you to all over Twitters, exposurnetwork.com/Discord. Take you to our Discord. Come talk to us about whatever there, including Doctor Who. And if you've all liked the episode, would like to support us, head on over to exposurnetwork.com/support, where you can donate as little as $1 to our Ko-fi page. Until next week, don't blink.